creative spirit with us. I'm sorry to say that Cecilia is ill. She planned to participate. Everybody else is here except I don't see Linda Hertel. Um, Pardon me? She's ill as well, so I didn't hear from her, but everybody else is here. And Madeline Baker is going to lead us off and set the standard.
There it is. In thinking about this program, I wanted to say how grateful I am for the various things that we do in this fellowship that really promote and encourage creativity, and that certainly has influenced me. I brought a couple of things today. And one of them is needlepoint. And I'm one of the people that participates in this handcrafters group on Friday. And, you know, I do crochet or I do needlepoint, and you do needlepoint and you just end up with a flat canvas that does no good for anybody. But fortunately, we have Carol Lobb who makes this into a pillow. So she chooses lovely fabric and makes this into a pillow, and it's a great lumbar roll, and so that group really helps me with my creative efforts. My other area, as you all know, is ceramics, and I have a little home studio, and for years I've worked out there. I have a wheel and, you know, a kiln and the whole thing, and for some reason, at least 5 years ago, I just quit working in my home studio. I don't know, I just couldn't do it anymore. So I was still very active with the bowlers and was there every week, and we've got some great creative people in the bowler group, and you know, they came up with some things that really stimulated me again. So I've managed to get myself back out in my own studio, which is really, you know, why not? I've got it. So carving is what I've been interested in recently. So I ordered some more sharper carving tools. And so I made this little thing so I could see what they did, and my goodness, they do indeed carve. And I was going to just make this just a abstract kind of circular thing, but I thought, well, I'll be here all week, and it looked like a flower, so I made them into flowers. And that worked, and then I had the rest of the thing to do, and I was able to do some carving on the front here. So I'm very pleased with this. It really stimulates me, and I hope to get back out there and do some more. I saw something on Pinterest that interested me, so this is another vase that I made, and it came out pretty well. And I'll have to say that yesterday, I actually went out there and I threw a bowl on the wheel, which is a miracle because it's kind of, you know, you can really throw clay around on the walls on the wheel, but I actually made a pot, so I feel real good about it. So I'm very grateful for the creative things that go on here. Thank you, Jerry. Okay,
How about right here?
Oh, okay, good. There you go.
Okay, Grant Belton and A.J. Price are doing a joint presentation, so that should be interesting.
this on? Yes, this on. Do you want to?
Jay, can we use these both together at the same time? Okay, that's
All right.
easy.
So today I'll be going over how we go and use the creative process in engineering design. At Rice, I help students and professors get their ideas from the concept stage through initial development and turn them into real-world prototypes. So starting with the idea, I'll sort of go through the process of how that happens. And because AJ is here, AJ is going to help me out with this. AJ, I hear you have a project idea.
I do. I want us to host a supper circle.
I'm not entirely sure what that is, but let's go through the process and see how it works. Now that we have the idea, we need to go through a needs assessment. That's answering the W's. Who, what, where, when, why, how.
Okay, that's doable. The who, okay, that could be the hosts, which is us, or it might be the guests, whoever signs up to attend. The what is easy too. It's a supper circle, which is a shared meal to build deeper connections among the members here at the fellowship. When? Later. Like maybe this fall. Where? That's a puzzle too. So most members, I think, still live here on the island in Galveston, and we live in Midtown Houston. That's an hour away. I do have a place in League City, but what's the next step?
That's fine. You don't have to always know the full set of requirements when you start the process. Supper circle sounds like it could have a themed menu. That would be great for the next step. Brainstorming.
Oh, okay, I know brainstorming. I'll just think of as many different ideas as I can in the next 10 seconds. Okay, here we go. 12-course gourmet farm-to-table tasting menu with a wine pairing for each course, or build your own tacos. What's the next step?
The next step is evaluating how those ideas fit the project scope. Was there a budget constraint?
Tacos it is!
Sounds good. That brings us to the prototyping. So that could be coming up with your recipes, or trying out a new cooking technique, or user testing, so trying the latest sauce on friends and family.
Okay, so you're saying tacos for dinner tonight?
Yeah.
And every night, as we iterate?
I guess so. That sounds good. So from there, we take the test results and, as you said, iterate on the prototype until it meets the product requirements. So, yeah. Tacos every night.
So what are the requirements again? What does that mean? Like, just it?
Okay. Yeah, so maybe we do that gradually over a few weeks. But yes, after several iterations, you're usually to a point where the prototype is ready to go on to further development. That might be a certification process or preparing to scale up to manufacturing. We've never wanted to have a taco truck, but that could be a thing. Or taking it off to marketing.
Okay, well, all tacos are certifiably delicious. Certification, check. And we can easily scale up to, if not a taco truck, at least meet the number of attendees. And we can conduct some market research to decide the best venue. So thank you for helping me focus and giving me sort of a framework to organize the creative process.
You're welcome.
Cecilia is not here, but I would like to say just a couple of things about her work. She's a painter, and she's been painting forever. And she paints her dreams. and they're just amazing. I was at a show that she did one time, and there were, I think, 30 different paintings, and I felt like I was inside of her mind. So if you get a chance to see any of her work, I think it'd be worth your while. I'm sorry she's not here. She was all set to share some of her paintings. Linda Hertel's not here, so Larry Jansen is up.
I have a big confession to make, and that is that I'm not prepared. I forgot. And so I didn't know that until I got in to the sanctuary and looked at the program to see what hymns we were going to sing, and my name was there. And I said, what am I going to do? And I thought about it a moment, and I decided to ask Jerry if it would be appropriate to just take a minute of this time and talk about how I got into the profession that I'm in. That's a floral designer. And to share that experience with you, that maybe you can recite it or share that with, if you have any kids or grandkids that are grappling with what they want to do when they grow up, how encouragement from members of the family are so important. So, I'm in the late 50s and early 60s, and I was in 8th grade, and our civics teacher told us that we all had to come up with a term paper about what we want to do when we grow up. Well, I really had always wanted to be an architect. And because of different things that happened in our family early on, I just didn't think I was ever going to make it to higher education. And I needed to find something that was going to provide me a living of some sort. And Mother had suggested that she knew I liked working in the garden, and following her around the house and being her helper to decorate for the holidays. And she said, well, there's a couple that just opened up a flower shop down the street from our church, and why don't you go down there and talk to them? And so I thought that was pretty interesting, and so I did. And they said, well, we need somebody to water our plants for us. And so that's what I started doing. And so I decided that I was going to write my term paper in 8th grade about being a florist. And so I had a mentor of some sort. I don't know what they told me to do, but I struggled with that. And the one thing that I remember that was very difficult for me was for a male to be in the flower business. He was gay, and that bothered me. And I was trying to figure out how I could present my paper and still be proud of who I was. And I was proud of what I was doing, but it just didn't sit right with me. But I went ahead with it, and I did the paper, and I got an A+ to talk about my experience of how I was going to go about doing that. Well, time went on, and I got a job in a flower shop after school for my junior and senior year in high school. And the family that owned the flower shop were not gay; they were very straight. And it gave me a little bit more courage that I wasn't going to be gay. Hallelujah! And I was going to. Why are you all laughing about that? And from then on, I was really committed to that, studying that profession. And when I graduated, I already prepared to moved to San Francisco, where they had a fabulous floral design and ornamental horticulture 2-year practicum education system. And of course, I excelled in all that, and I loved it. I worked for a lovely, beautiful flower shop in downtown San Francisco for 2 years, and was exposed to the best, to the very best of floral design. And that kind of wraps up I'm past my time, but the rest is history. And I tried to get out of the flower business on several occasions, but it just didn't work. I kept being drawn back into it. But the flower industry and being in a flower shop all my life pretty much has been very exciting. I've met some wonderful people, brought lots of joy to many, many people. And so for an all-around profession, it addresses every avenue of our walks of life. And I'm not suggesting that you have to encourage your kids to be a floral designer, but how important it is for adults and family members to lovingly talk about and encourage them to go on to be what they want to be.
Thank you, Larry. And Steve, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
This will be shown on the wall. Yeah, this is a thunderstorm I saw on 61st Street. Back in the day, I used to do some of my shopping at Randall's, and I was walking from the part of, I had just gotten off from work. Back in the day, I was working at Moody Gardens, and I had just gotten off from work, and the bus left me off at the intersection of 61st and Jones. I was walking down, you know about where that cemetery is on 61st? I was walking down that area, and it's right about this area, and I looked west, and I saw that thunderhead coming in from the west. And a lot of times, we're kind of sort of in the mid-latitude, we're like a borderline between being mid-latitude and tropical. And so, because of the latitude we're at, especially at certain times of the year, the weather will come in from the west. They call it prevailing westerlies. And so this thunderstorm was coming in from the west. And I was hearing reports that it was pretty intense. And so that's what this is. And this part of the thunderstorm up here, that's called the anvil. At that altitude, it's so cold that even in summer, that part of the cloud is actually frozen. So that's what that is. Yeah, go to the next one. Yeah, this one is sunset, right after another thunderstorm, and the bus had left me off at Rosenberg Library. Back in that time, I didn't have my own computer, so I went to the computer lab at Rosenberg Library, and when I had just gotten off from work at Moody, it was still raining. So this is the aftermath of a thunderstorm, and a lot of times, at least in this part of the world, you can get leftover clouds after the main storm is over. And so the sun was coming in obviously from the west, and the sun appeared to be shut, well, the rays of the sun were coming in from the west. And when you get near sunset, as some of you probably know, at that angle, when the sun is low on the horizon like that, instead of scattering blue light, it scatters longer wavelengths. That's why at sunset you typically see warm colors like red and orange and yellow. And so that's what you're seeing here. The clouds are reflecting those wavelengths of light. So that's what, and to me, it looks so beautiful when I took a picture of it. This is at Moody Gardens when I got off from
Thanks, Steve. Very interesting photographs. And Vera Serrata, I think, has a poem for us. Is that right? Good.
Thank you. Where is my home? This question was gifted to me in the cradle. Czech National Autumn starts with it. The answer described the beauty of the land, call it paradise on the earth. I left this paradise on search for a refuge, a paradise of world, to find in my heart. I am ubiquitous on the end of this journey. I fled the paradise of the world when it started suddenly be a prison of the nations once again. I left the singing forest and white waters of Stony River for Emperor City on mighty blue Donau, once hated from downtrodden, today a savior of many persecuted. Later, I leave it against the stream to the nest of eagle that was not a symbol of free world, but a cruelty and unsettling hunger for land. I have to step with my feet in the stormy river with the name given to her from the same Celtic tribe, like my river in beginning of pilgrimage for freedom. Isar and Yizera are pristine, cold, fast-running rivers. Swimming in them is like in the mountain lake. It makes you stronger. The pilgrimage in the wine country with vineyards in the middle of the city bring me strangely in a graveyard of gorgeous, fragile Russian princesses who one by one die in childbirth, at chilled age themselves, or helping the sick and poor. I witnessed falling of the wall, the painful coming together for one nation, one body, but the soul still divided. You can still feel the red line on the streets, the only visible witness, and it's still red. To the next shrine on my pilgrimage to freedom, I need to fly to a new world. First time I was no chosen, no unwelcome, not less than other citizens. The question, where are you from, was not aggressive or disrespectful. It was a real interest in person's journey in the pilgrimage to freedom. I know I am on the end of my pilgrimage. We are in America, or are we?
Thank you, Vera. Well, I really enjoyed hearing what other people are doing, and we now have a little bit more understanding of each other and what we find interesting and creative. And we'll do it again one of these days. Please stand for the closing